So yeah, let's start with the questions. First question comes from Rose, and he's asking, after the PAO loss to Aris in the Greek league, DPG, meaning Dimitris Giannokopoulos, posted that Ataman and his crew should quit. Later that night, he posted that he believes they are winning the EuroLeague. Please entertain us with your commentary on the situation. So I'm just going to read the statement for those who haven't heard it, and maybe to remind Rytis what it was. It was more of a, I say statement, it was more of a rant on Instagram. The ones that, the classic DPG rant on Instagram after a loss, where he's turning everywhere.
Was it from the gym? Was it from the car?
I think
or
it's
from the bedroom.
Most of the time it's from the gym.
Yeah. Sometimes it's from the car.
I recognize those lights and all that. Yeah, sometimes it's from the car, but this one I think was from the gym. He was with the shirt, I think, but usually he's also shirtless. Yeah. Anyways, he went, coaches, assistant coaches, all of you, you have no idea where you're playing, do you? This is Panathinaikos. I hope that when you get back to Athens, if you even have the dignity to come back, you all resign, all the players too. And then also he said that when we put this trophy, EuroLeague trophy on the table, blah, 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 blah.
Throughout this whole season, I have this constant power ranking of deluded, rich, middle-aged owners. Ofer Yanai sometimes takes the first place, but now Dimitris Giannokopoulos is definitely back on top.
So you're team Ataman in this situation then?
I'm not team Ataman or anti-Ataman. It's just a ridiculous statement from your owner. Well, if it was just the first time, I could take it as a serious statement. Now I'm just laughing at it, just like everybody else.
We do remember some statements from DPG coming in previous seasons, like, we're going to quit the EuroLeague, stuff like that, after the referees are deciding the game, so we're not going to play for this mafia, blah, blah, blah. I think he got fined last time for that. Of course, no fines coming his way for this, because what he essentially said, everyone should quit their job for the team that he works for, and that he owns, and he meant, everyone, all the players too. So this is
terminate the contracts, pay the compensations, and there you have it.
And this is this whole situation, just to give some context, it was after a loss to Aris, and Aris is obviously way below in terms of the budget and in terms of the players they have in the Greek league, and Giannokopoulos just couldn't believe that his team would lose against them after an overtime, 95-102. Ergin Ataman got ejected in that game. He didn't even finish that game. And to me, I don't know how it feels to you, Rytis, but to me, this feels like it's just been building up throughout the last month. And this all started when me and Donatas went to watch the Greek derby. And from there on, it's been like a downfall for Panathinaikos in terms of everything. In terms of the record they had, like January record is 3-4 in the EuroLeague, 3 wins and 4 losses. And then in terms of the, not mental state, but let's say the safety of Ergin Ataman's, like how safe Ergin Ataman feels in this team. Because this is the statements I'm going to read to you, and then you can give some reactions. So he started with, first of all, I'd like to congratulate Sasha Vezenkov because he showed that he's a real power forward, because unfortunately we play without power forwards. So that was his very first after the Olympiacos loss. Then he said, if at the end of the season we don't win the EuroLeague or the Greek League, I will leave Athens. A classic Ataman ultimatum. Then I would like to congratulate our big opponents in the Greek League, Olympiacos. They won on the road by 40 points, and at that point they won by 2 points. And he said, like, Olympiacos show how a real big team should win by 40 points. Then he said, we had problems with other players from the bench who ruined our system. We had 5 players playing. Some people don't deserve to play in the team. This was quite recently. And then it was, before me, this club failed for 13 years. And finally, after their last EuroLeague game, that narrow win against Asvel, we had some players who played a really shameful game. So he's going at his players mostly, the power forward specifically in some of these cases. But generally speaking, I feel like it's a defensive it's a bunch of defensive statements like, before me, the club was shit. If we don't win, I'll resign. I feel like he's trying to fire himself prior to being fired, almost saying like, if things don't happen, I'll resign, but don't fire me until we don't win the EuroLeague or something.
I think it's not for me to break down these mind games. Is he targeting the ownership? Is he targeting the players actually? Is he addressing the fans? I'm not sure what's the point of this. But the thing is, what I see throughout the season watching Panathinaikos, there's a lack of chemistry. I mean, the team is not as united as it was in the last 2 seasons. I know injuries happen and it's tough when you're without Kendrick Nunn, arguably the best player in the league right now, but just that lack of chemistry sometimes turns into a lack of effort. You can see some games where it feels like the players feel some sense of pride and then they perform. Remember when Panathinaikos visited Kaunas? Terrible first half. Maybe the players were kind of insulted by the score and they said like, nah, guys, we have to step up. We have to do something. And then in the second half, you saw defense, you saw effort, you saw hustle, you saw TJ Shorts actually playing good minutes. You saw Jedi Osman knocking down spot-up shots, and then they won the game. So there is this potential. There is a lot of talent. And I don't know if Ataman lost the locker room. They're not a team that wins because of some tactical schemes or system. That's not their thing. They win because of the quality, and Ataman knows how to work with big talent. He's proven that with Efes and with Panathinaikos. But it looks like there's this boiling pot right now. And
I think to be honest with you, this is the biggest pressure he's ever had in 3 years of being in Athens. Because obviously, the losses at the domestic league is something that adds to it. But generally speaking, I mean, what you said about them not having Kendrick Nunn, there's a question here from Tutis actually to follow up. Panathinaikos barely beat Asphalt. They're struggling in the Greek league. Ataman keeps yapping. Giannokopoulos keeps threatening. And now they face Fener, Real, and Olympiacos in their next 3 out of 5 games.
Ouch.
At what point does this stretch force a coach change, and is Ataman's job really on the line? And I think you nailed it on the head when you said that it all starts with Nunn, but because when you don't have Nunn, I mean, they lost 2 of the 4 games they played, and I feel like their offense is just really hard to watch without him. He doesn't probably add so much defensively, but he actually takes away from when he's not there. Then Geran Grant needs to play a bit more on offense, needs to take the ball, needs to expend his energy offensively, and he's been doing that pretty well.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he would be that secondary guy next to him who takes the defensive responsibilities. Now, you need to balance it out. And without Nunn, I mean, if you look at the advanced stats at BasketNews.com, there's an advanced stats tab there. Assisted buckets is something that is a huge contrast between Kendrick being there and not being there. They are top 7 when he's there, and they're bottom 3 when he's not there.
Wow.
So that means that that just reflects what you see on the floor. Because when Nunn's there, he can drive, he can attract help, he can open up the space for the cutters, like Osman cuts, Juancho cuts. The rollers get in the paint, like Holmes, Yurtseven, even Farid. And then you don't have him, and you got TJ Shorts, who's like playing sporadically because Ataman's not sure if he can afford the defensive side of Shorts.
But this treatment of TJ Shorts is something I cannot understand. Like, people will not take your excuses seriously when, okay, your best player is out, but when you have Shorts and Slukas, you do have playmakers, great creators. And the fact that you don't know how to manage TJ Shorts is your issue. And this is where I would like to, let's say, oppose Ataman a little bit, because this constant criticism of his own players publicly, like the example with power forwards. Well, you picked those players. Like, you signed those players. It's a different situation when a coach, let's say, enters the locker room in the middle of the season. The roster is already built. He didn't pick these players. He maybe 5 or 6 players don't even fit his system, so he will need to do a completely rebuild in the summer. Then I get it. Then I understand that you might be displeased with some of the players and some of the signings. But in this case, well, you wanted TJ Shorts, you got TJ Shorts. You didn't know his limitations, you didn't know his size, you couldn't Google his height. What's the issue here? Like,
or the way he plays, because that's another thing I think is a big issue for TJ, that he usually has the role of obviously having the ball in his hands, number one, but then you have Kendrick Nunn next to you, you have
but you knew all of that.
Yeah, you knew
before
that.
you sign him.
And also just the way that Panathinaikos play is a different type of basketball to any other teams that TJ played for, because in previous teams it was all about pace. It was all about running. And here Panathinaikos is one of the slower teams in the EuroLeague, and it's hard to adapt for a guy like TJ.
So I don't get it. Like, you picked Juancho, you picked Jedi, you picked everybody else, and then bashing them in the media. It sort of worked in Istanbul when he was criticizing Vasa Micic after bad performances. But then you knew that Vasa was the MVP, and when he didn't perform, well, you could have the luxury to say that publicly. Well, our best player, Vasa Micic, was not there. And maybe that was like the motivation Vasa sometimes needed. Every individual is different. But in this case, you lose a game, and then you're putting all the blame on the players. For example, to be honest, the last EuroLeague derby, Olympiacos beat Panathinaikos in Oaxaca. We've talked here with Ogis, we've talked privately in chat rooms. Barzokas outcoached Ataman. There was no coaching for Panathinaikos in that game. And then you go out and say, we don't have power forward. Sasha Vezenkov is a true power forward. Yeah, well, like, do some actual coaching, in-game adjustments or stuff like that.
Because it almost feels like what Ataman needs is all the best players, and then there's no excuses. Otherwise, there's always an excuse.
At the same time, I think it would be ridiculous to part ways with Ataman right now. I believe
Too much of a shakeup, you mean? Like,
yeah, and I don't see a tragedy. Of course, for Panathinaikos, losing is unacceptable, but there's still a lot of games to play. They still have a good chance to qualify for the playoffs and fight for the Final Four. A Greek league loss in the regular season basically means nothing. So just like carry on, forget about all this, talk internally about certain issues if you need to. Maybe if in the end the season finishes, you don't have any titles to show, maybe you don't even get to the Final Four, then you can say it's time for a change. But right now, I think it wouldn't make any sense to fire the head coach. And like I said so many times before, I don't take anything that Dimitris Giannokopoulos says seriously, because you just can't. I look at it as sort of like a comedy show. His Instagram stories is like just a comedy content.
For me, it's like mind games, obviously, and the two guys met their match. Like Ataman likes mind games. I feel like Giannokopoulos likes mind games, and he obviously doesn't want everyone to resign. They just, had a tough stretch in the EuroLeague. That Asvel game, only a 1 point win. Then they lost to Maccabi. They lost to Bayern. I mean, those teams you expect that PAO will take, and that's the reason why Panathinaikos are right now tied with the 3 other teams at the 8th spot. But at the same time, like you just said, only 1 win away from being 4th, let's say, because there's some teams that haven't played all the 25 games so far. So I don't think there's a tragedy. I just agree with you, to be honest. That's what we spoke about with Eric McCollum as well, that despite all these issues, they're still in a good spot to be
Kendrick
with a
Nunn
home.
should be back at some point.
Yeah. Kendrick Nunn, not sure about Lazort, of course, nobody's sure. But if he returned, I think then we'd be talking about a different team. If he returned and played the way that we're used to, because that's another...
He will obviously need some time.
Yeah. So we're not firing Ataman, but let's move on to the next question. And this next part is only available to our BM Plus subscribers. If you haven't subscribed yet and want to listen to the rest of this episode and also be able to ask questions weekly, make sure to check out BasketNews.com/subscribe. Plus, and over there become a member. And I think we have right now a special deal where you can get it's called the mid-season steal, just €16.90, and you pay for basically 6 months, get 7 months of BM Plus membership. So go use that and listen to the rest of this episode.